So you just got your PCS orders to Montgomery, Alabama. Now, whether you are the active duty service member yourself or a military spouse handling all of the logistics for you and your family, this video is going to cover everything that you need to know about moving to the Montgomery area, from schools to housing to just everyday life around Montgomery. So before you start packing up boxes, there are a few things that you need to be aware of, because here's the thing. I see people relocating to the area and they make the same mistake over and over and over again, and it could cost you the perfect home, your preferred school district, and even your sanity. So stick around to find out how you can avoid it. All right, let's talk about the best places to live when you're PCSing to Montgomery. The best places to live for families really depends on what you need as a family or an individual. You know, whether that's a shorter commute time, whether it's a specific price point in housing, or just a specific lifestyle that you are looking for. So we're going to look at 4 different areas and a bonus 5th area that almost nobody talks about, which I think is actually going to be a pretty big deal in the upcoming future. So it's something to kind of pay attention to. Okay, so just a really high-level overview of the 4 communities plus that bonus community. You've got Montgomery here, obviously. Montgomery is an option. And then anytime you hear anybody say East Montgomery, they're really referring to anything east of this boulevard. This is the Eastern Boulevard, so anything east of there would be considered East Montgomery. And then farther east, you would have Pike Road, which comes around down here. It's a little bit iffy on where those lines are. And then Wetumpka on the map just shows that little area, but it actually expands to all of this. And then you've got Prattville right up here. And then here's that bonus community of Millbrook. So those are the 4 communities plus that bonus community at a very, very high level overview. If you are choosing to live in East Montgomery, what I'm referring to is anything east of this boulevard here, the Eastern Boulevard. 95% of the new construction is here in East Montgomery. And if you're living in East Montgomery, probably the major roadway you're going to take is I-85 into downtown. That does get a bit congested in the morning time, and obviously going east in the afternoon. Some people may choose to take Atlanta Highway if they live in a specific part, but honestly, there's a lot more red lights down Atlanta Highway, so it would be kind of a pretty rough drive. But so from Pike Road, the most of the traffic is going to be on I-85 here, just like in East Montgomery. Again, this gets pretty congested in the mornings. Depends on the time, but most people are going to be traveling to Maxwell. If you are traveling to Gunner, you'll probably hit the boulevard and go up that way to Gunner. And Pike Road again is down in here. All right, from Prattville, really, depends on which part of Prattville that you live in. If you live up here in one of these subdivisions, you're probably going to travel down I-65 into downtown and or Maxwell there. If you live on this side of Prattville, you're probably going to take Highway 31 into Montgomery and then into Maxwell that way. Obviously, if you're going to work on Gunner, you'll probably hit the boulevard and go that way. And same for Highway 31. Again, Wetumpka is going to expand all the way around into here. So on the map you see just this, but actually a lot of that is Wetumpka. The major roadway that you're going to be traveling in Wetumpka or into town in Wetumpka is Highway 231, and that's going to take you right by Gunner Air Force Base. You'll probably, if you're going to Maxwell, hit the boulevard and go over here to Maxwell Air Force Base there. And then from Millbrook, which is right here, from Millbrook, you can either just take this road and hop on I-65, which is probably going to be your best bet, or you can actually take the River Bridge if you're going to Gunner. This road here takes you across a toll, so this is a toll right here, and it takes you into Gunner from this direction. So those are probably the 2 main roadways that you're going to take if you do choose to live in Millbrook. As far as the bases go, a lot of this information is probably going to be stuff that you already know, but bear with me because there might be a few things that you may not be aware of. In all of your research about Montgomery, Maxwell, Gunner, any of those topics that you've been looking at, you've probably come across a lot of this information. So as you may know, Maxwell is a major education hub for the Air Force. It's home to Air University. It houses the Air Command and Staff College, ACSC, Squadron Officer School, SOS, and the Air War College. So if you are looking to advance your military career, you're probably either already heading to one of those schools or may in the future. It's also home to the 42nd Air Base Wing, which provides support for the entire base. And then there's Gunner Annex, which that's home to the Air Force's Business and Enterprise Systems Directorate. That's most of the Air Force's IT infrastructure. Little known fact, I worked as a contractor over on Gunner for a number of years on those IT systems, so I'm pretty familiar with those. So while Gunner's not as large as Maxwell, it's still a pretty significant employer in the Montgomery area. And it's important to note that although it is called an annex, it's actually a separate location. So if you are looking to live on Gunner and commute to Maxwell or vice versa, do know that you are going to have a bit of a commute between the two. So as far as Montgomery goes, obviously it is closer to a lot of shopping, a lot of the amenities that obviously Montgomery has. It's closer in large part, depending on where you live, but it's closer to Maxwell Air Force Base, closer to Gunner. Those are all obviously in Montgomery. So the commute time is going to be shorter. If that's important to you, the commute time will be shorter. There are several new construction developments in East Montgomery. And then there's Pike Road. So the commute to Pike Road is not much different than the other three communities we'll talk about, but that commute's about 25 to 30 minutes to Maxwell Air Force Base. And the Pike Road school system continues to grow due to demand. Now the Pike Road Pike Road is a part of Montgomery County, which obviously is also the city of Montgomery, but Pike Road does have its own school system. And the Pike Road schools, or the high school specifically, has grown to a point where now they are building an entirely new high school, not to replace the old high school, but in addition to. So that gives you an indication of how in demand those school systems are in Pike Road and how that is a driver for people to move into that community. As far as the lifestyle in Pike Road goes, it is more of a small town feel. There is not as much development there in Pike Road, but it is close enough to Montgomery that you're going to probably be, in fact, most anything that you do will be in Montgomery except for going home. They do now have a public shopping center, so that's helpful, but most of the shopping is still done in Montgomery. So if you're looking for that small town feel where there's not as much development and there's plenty of growth opportunity, Pike Road is actually one of the fastest growing communities in the state of Alabama. After Pike Road, you've got Prattville. Prattville, again, is about a 20 to 25 minute, 30-minute drive to Maxwell Air Force Base, depending on which side of Prattville you live on. You've got most everything that you would want in Prattville. So if you're looking for something that's still smaller than Montgomery, but has a lot of the things that you might want, it's definitely got a lot of shopping there in Prattville. And then you've got Wetumpka, and Wetumpka is definitely a smaller town than Prattville. It's about a 25 to 30 minute drive to Maxwell Air Force Base, even closer if you are on Gunner. As a community, it does have a more rural feel. The lots in a lot of the subdivisions are a bit bigger. There's a lot of mature trees in a lot of these. So if you like the idea of feeling like you're living in a more rural place, Wetumpka might be that place for you. There's definitely a lot less congestion. And then the lifestyle there in Wetumpka is definitely outdoor friendly. You've got the Coosa River that runs right through Wetumpka. There is, as I've mentioned before, there's hiking, biking on the Swayback Bridge Trail. And then, like I said, the Coosa River, which has plenty of fishing, plenty of rafting and kayaking opportunities there. And then that fifth option that you've probably never heard of, or maybe heard just a little bit about, is Millbrook. And Millbrook is unique because it's actually in Autauga and Elmore County, so it kind of straddles the county line there. And a lot of people like it because it has a very strong sense of community. It's a lot smaller than any of the others that we've talked about. It is very close to I-65 in downtown, so it's definitely an easy commute to Maxwell Air Force Base. You know, one of the things that just went up in Millbrook is 17 Springs, which is going to be a huge driver for future growth there in the city. I believe that it's going to bring a lot more business and a lot more money to the area. And I feel like Millbrook is going to see a really big explosion in the near future, a lot in large part due to the 17 Springs sports complex there. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Britt Dowling, and as a local real estate agent in the Montgomery area, every year dozens of military families trust me to help them make their move to the area, and I would love to help you too. My information is down below, along with a link to my calendar where you can schedule a call that aligns with your schedule. So shoot me a call, text, or email, or grab that link and schedule a call, and I'll get you plugged right into the process. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, let's talk about the cost of living in Montgomery, Alabama. It's going to be a lot less expensive than a lot of the duty stations that you've probably been a part of. You have a really good opportunity to purchase a home and have pretty strong resale potential. There's always opportunity to rent that house out and have an income producing rental property, or sell that house generally at a profit once you leave. So as far as housing goes, the average home price in Montgomery is going to be $256,000. The average home price in Prattville is $315,000. In Pike Road, the average home price is $444,000. In Wetumpka, it's $307,000. Property taxes are generally going to be around $1,500 to $2,500 per year. And you can actually find homes with property taxes that are less than $1,000 a year. It's not uncommon to find depending on where you look. Okay, let's talk about what you can buy based on your BAH. Now, I do want to mention that all of the numbers that I'm about to mention are strictly based on 03s, 04s, and 05s, since we get a lot of people coming here for the schools. And also, this is strictly based on one BAH, not two, not any sort of dual income. And it also is based on a 10% down payment. These are strictly estimates. In fact, I've got a few lenders that I would recommend that you talk to, and you're probably going to be looking at using a VA loan, which offers 100% financing. Again, if you need a lender to talk to, I would love to get you connected. For an 03 with a BAH of $1,878 per month, that gives you a home price purchase of about $271,000. Let's go take a look and see what you can get in this price range right here in Montgomery. All right, for an 03 without dependents, it's $1,707 per month, and that gives you a home price purchase of $243,000. Let's go check out what you can get around that price range right here in Montgomery. For an 04 with dependents, it's $2,241 per month, that gets you a home price purchase of $330,000. Let's go check out what that price range gets you right here in Montgomery. For an 04 without dependents, that's $1,794 per month, bringing the home price purchase to $257,000. Let's go check out what that price range gets us here in Montgomery. For an 05 with dependents, that's $2,496 per month, brings your home price purchase of $372,000. Let's go see what that price range gets us right here in Montgomery. And for an 05 without dependents, that's $1,872 per month, which brings your home price purchase to $270,000. And let's go check that one out real quick.
Just waiting for you.
All right, now we're going to talk about all the just various costs of living here in the area. So sales tax in Montgomery is going to be 10%. In Pike Road, it's the lowest of the four. It's 8.75% sales tax. Prattville is going to be 9.5%, and then Wetumpka is 9%. For utilities for a 3 to 4 bedroom home, your electric bill is going to generally be about $150 to $250 per month. Your water and sewer are going to be about $50 to $90 per month. And then internet is going to be about $60 to $100 per month. And then as far as trash pickup, in Montgomery, the trash pickup is actually included with your water bill. And in Pike Road, you're going to pay about $60 per quarter, so about $20 per month for trash pickup. In Prattville, it's also included with your water and your sewer. And then in Wetumpka, it's separate, and it's going to be about $60 per quarter for Wetumpka also. Groceries in Montgomery, Alabama are about 2.5% lower than the national average. And then for Pike Road, Prattville, and Wetumpka, it's about 2% lower than the national average. And then for dining and entertainment, a casual restaurant's going to cost you between $10 and $15 per person per meal. And then a sit-down restaurant between $15 and $30 per person per meal. By the way, I just want to mention a couple of restaurants that we really enjoy. Over in Hempstead, there's a restaurant called Taste. That's one of our favorite restaurants to go to. And then over in Old Cloverdale, there's a restaurant called Frenchie's, which is a terrific, fairly new restaurant over there. Every Friday, my wife and I go and have coffee and breakfast at this little cafe over, actually a little bit down from Frenchie's, called Vintage Cafe. So if you ever are looking for a little cafe or a place to just grab brunch or a light lunch, Vintage Cafe is a terrific place to go. Okay, so schools are a very big part of a parent's decision to choose a specific area to live in. As a parent myself, I definitely understand that. And so while I can't give my personal opinion about schools and tell you whether a school system is good or bad, I can share some public information with you, and that's what we're going to do right here. So I will say that Alabama just passed the Choose Act, which offers education savings accounts to parents. It is on an application basis, so it's not available to everyone. You do have to apply for it. But if you have children that you want to send to a private school or another school, the Choose Act does give you $7,000 per student. Or if you homeschool, it actually gives you $2,000 per student with a cap of $4,000 per household. And if you want more information on that, you need to go and check out the Alabama Department of Education website on how to apply and when to have all that information in. So Montgomery and the Montgomery area definitely offers a lot of options. There are public schools, private schools, charter schools. So depending on what you and or your child need as far as class sizes and curriculum, there are definitely a lot of options here in the area. So if private schools are an option that you're looking at, they do typically have a wait list. So definitely check out those websites of the private schools and make sure that you're getting all that information in before the deadline. For families that homeschool, the River Region definitely has a very strong homeschool community. There are several co-ops and a ton of information available. If homeschooling is an option that you want to consider, or currently do, reach out to me, because that's what we do as a family, and I can definitely share all the resources and information that we have and that we use as a family. Niche.com puts Montgomery County Schools at a C+ grade. You can see all of the different grades here: academics, teachers, diversity, college prep, and administration. And then niche.com puts Elmore County Schools, which Elmore County Schools is Millbrook and Wetumpka, so it puts that at an A-, B+ for academics, A- for teachers, clubs, diversity, and then A for administration, and B for college prep. Autauga County Schools, and remember Prattville is in Autauga County, get a B+. B+ for most of the choices, except an A- for diversity. And then Pike Road Schools, remember Pike Road is in Montgomery County, but Pike Road has their own schools, and they get a B+ on a lot of these, except for clubs and activities and administration. And again, these are all publicly available resources. These are not my opinions. These are strictly off of niche.com. Okay, so here is the big mistake that I see a lot of families make when they relocate to the area. They wait too long to get started, and they underestimate just how quickly homes sell here in the river region. Like I mentioned, we have a very strong military presence here. A lot of military families are making their big rush at a specific time of year, probably the same time that you are. And so I see this all the time. People think they have a lot of time to make a decision. What ends up happening is they end up having to settle for a home they don't actually like. Maybe they get in a school district that they're not excited about. Maybe the school district they don't want to be in. Or maybe even worse, they're stuck in temporary housing until that house becomes available. And if you got kids and a dog, that can get really stressful. So what do you do instead? How do you avoid it? Well, definitely start your search early. Number 2, work with an agent who really knows the area. They're going to be able to guide you, to tell you where you need to live based on your lifestyle and your needs. Also, work with an agent who has helped families before in this process and is really familiar with the relocation process. They're going to be able to guide you through this process and make sure that when you land here in Montgomery, that you have a home that you love and that you're excited to be here. If this video helped you even just a little bit, wait till you see what's coming up in the video next. And hey, listen, if you are looking to make a move to the Montgomery area, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. My information is down below. Shoot me a call, text, or email, or grab that link, schedule a call, and I'll get you plugged right into the process. Either way, I'll see you around town, and I'll see you on the next video.